Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Welcome to today's Grey Market Blast, where myself, Mr. Ryan Paisley, and the glamorous, with a capital G, Angie Setzer, will be providing a rapid roundup of the latest pricing flows and market moving news in agricultural markets. But before she does, because it is mainly Angie's show, let's get the legals out of the way. So as usual, nothing discussed in the space of session constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ or myself, Mr. Ryan Paisley, or indeed the glamorous Angie Setzer. Angie, it's Thursday. We've nearly made it. How are you?
We are almost here. And it's funny that you say that about it's mainly Angie's show because it didn't exacerbate the guilt I felt upon listening yesterday to the beautiful dynamic that you and Mr. Brown have.
Oh, stop it.
It's so lovely. I just want to hang out. But anyway,
you know what? On that, obviously, it's not really time and place, but this morning's show, the Morning Blast, which we do put out daily, it's in the
you
pin
need to
tweet and all
listen
that
to it,
stuff.
you guys. Yes.
This morning, so yesterday was an hour earlier than normal. It was at 7:30 in the morning, and not what I was expecting when he did message me the night before and said, "Do you fancy an early morning blast?" I was like, "Oh, hey,
You're
right, moving
like,
on."
it is Wednesday. So, anyhow, welcome to the Thunderdome. Guess what? Ryan and I have been super busy, but we have managed to negotiate a US UK trade deal on
All
top of
us, baby.
everything else.
All us.
It's 100% us. We showed the world how well folks from the US and UK can work together. And they were just like, you know what? We agree to everything.
They can do it. We can do it.
100%. And so that's what we got going on right now. It's a big announcement. President Trump is like me when it comes to surprises. Guess what? I got you your Christmas present. Do you want to know what it is? Because we got it's super great. You're going to like it. And so basically yesterday we've got a big trade announcement. I don't think this is the same as the earth-shattering announcement that no one's ever heard before. I think this is just kind of, we're burying the lead, maybe. I don't know. But we will. Go ahead.
It's amazing announcements all the way down.
All the way. I can't even stand it. And that's what I was talking to someone earlier today. And I was like, I'd forgotten how when you're away from the desk for 5 minutes with this administration, it feels like an eternity because you just don't know what's happened. But anyway, last night, amazing announcement. Going to be a big trade deal. We're super pumped about it. This morning, he said, and a lot of folks were like, it's probably the UK. And so it is, apparently. We're going to have a 10 a.m. press conference here. I haven't seen much in the way of significant details, though our friend, Mr. Brown, again, he did report or show, and CNN reported it, but we'll give him the credit for tweeting it because he deserves it. They did say that they will leave the 10% baseline tariff in place, but we will hear other things. There's going to be, technology, and some of these, maybe
I did hear there could be an agricultural
yes.
Carve out as well, which a carve out for you guys, and then a carve out for us. So kind of
we
get your food, you get our cars. There you go.
And I was just like, hold on, which cars? What cars?
Whatever cars you want at this point.
That's what do you make? Do we have to? Anyway, I was kind of like, is Britain a big car?
Are you saying you don't want the Aston Martin that I've got on reserve?
Oh, I'm sorry. I will take that one. But anyway, so we are going to fix the car. And there you go. You showed it. I'm from Michigan. We have there's 3 brands. I don't know what to tell you. So, we're going to see that. Secretary of Agriculture did say that she is excited to open the door to new markets. And so, yeah, you're right that there is something agricultural there, though I wonder what. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more biofuel driven than anything else because I don't really anticipate much in the way of massive British corn imports, but you can take our fuel. It's the same, only different. So we have that. Yeah, you're welcome. It's just for you. I'll send you a package. But so we have that going on. And one of the things, the sticking points that folks will kind of focus on, I think initially, and that was one of you saw like the S&P dip and some of these other things with that 10% baseline tariff announcement. I think that just solidifies the fact that you're going to have 10% blanket tariffs in place no matter what. Like they didn't pause them. They're leaving them in place. They're not part of the negotiation. They are there. And so I think you're going to just kind of see this as something we have to accept. Now, I don't think it's reasonably terrible considering just 2 weeks ago, Trump was like 30, 40, 50%. I take it as a win. 10% is a lot less than those numbers based on my math. And so I guess we'll see. But hopefully This is the first of many. Like you said, you wait for a bus and then a bunch show up or
Yeah.
whatever. I just ruined that entire phrase, but you got what I'm saying. We also
Look, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. Look,
we also
it's better than bits and bobbings, which you
bits
said.
and bobbles. Bobbles is what I
Bits and bobbles, that was it.
I will say it again and it's fine. I'll make it my own. But then we have China talks, right? They're this weekend. And I'd said yesterday, and I think a lot of people were like, oh, trade headlines are why the market popped. Honey, no. If you look at the open yesterday, last night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever it was, what day is it? Thursday. So Tuesday night, because yesterday's trade.
What year is
Tuesday,
this? Who is the
I
president?
don't even know anymore. But Tuesday night we had the initial trade talk announcement, right? And everyone was super excited. But really, when we opened that night at 8 p.m. Eastern, it was kind of like, corn was up a couple, beans were up like 3 or 4. It really wasn't the shot up higher like we had seen upon the announcement of the China stimulus. And so I think you actually saw grains catch a bid overnight on Tuesday night into Wednesday, more on the stimulus talk. A lot of folks had thought that the conversation of or the idea that China and the US would be negotiating should support us. I'd mentioned at the end of our conversation yesterday that like basically 3 days is like dog years. Like it's 7 years as far as we're concerned in trade. And so, yeah, you just kind of saw the market just sort of I'm melting throughout the day. Old crop corn continues to get the beats, but we're waiting to see. Trump did come out late yesterday and say, I'm not going to pull these tariffs off preemptively. That's one of the things that China has been calling for. I don't think it's going to interrupt the talks, but it definitely is one of those deals where I've seen a lot of people like the odds of pause in tariffs is X, the odds of basically the staying the same is Y,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and so you're seeing some shifts in odds where it's kind of like, oh God, it's going to stay the same or get worse, and there had been some optimism we see a pause. I don't know. We'll see what the weekend brings. That'll be Sunday night, Monday thing. I'm sure the administration will paint it as exceptionally positive.
Oh God,
And
I
we'll just
think.
have to see.
But yeah, so funny enough, as me and Michael were talking about this morning, I think the bullish case is walking away with a framework for more discussion.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
Yeah. At this
that's
point in
pretty
time.
much This not get carried away. I think walking away from this meeting in Switzerland with both sides agreeing to at least a framework. I think that's probably as good as it gets.
Yes, I would agree with that, and I will take it as long as there is a continuation of conversation. The door is open, and overall, really, when it comes down to it, on the grain side of things, we have months, like and months is short, honestly. Like September will be here before we know it, and I just am going
God,
to
yeah,
wash my mouth out with soap for saying that because I hate myself for that, but it's true.
it is true.
And we need to have something resolved prior to September, but we do have a good amount of time, to come up with something. And the reality is, likelihood is, if you were a better, would you say that the situation remains embargoed with China? The situation remains embargoed. Sorry, I got a phone call. With China kind of, uh,
It was Trump, wasn't it? It was
it
Trump
was, yeah, he was calling me to
looking for more
see.
advice on the UK. Yeah,
He
yeah, I got
wanted to
it.
know how to handle the EU actually, and I told him
Oh,
just
okay,
to make
sorry.
sure. Yeah, so yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
sod them.
But
Sod them. We
yeah,
voted out. They're dead to me.
but it'll be one of those things we'll want to watch and see if we end up. I mean, I'm leaning more towards a resolution in the China-U.S. trade situation is going to end up in a another phase type deal. Like we
Yeah.
an
Oh, absolutely.
embargo for the next 4 years is very
Well,
unlikely. It's
yeah.
just a matter of
I'm
when it happens.
I'm already getting flashbacks to the last term when it was 90% done for about three
Oh my
years of a
god, you
4 year
would be
term.
both. Oh
Oh,
my
do you remember that
gosh, you
every
would go
week?
home.
Oh, it's 90% done. Oh, okay. Oh,
The
okay. Oh, next
worst
week.
part
Oh,
is
it's 90% done still. Okay.
exactly. We go home every Friday optimistic. The market would goose into Friday night, like into the close. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
Friday you'd be
Oh
like,
God,
okay,
chills,
over the
chills.
weekend, it's great. It's going to be so good. And then Sunday night, you get punched straight in the box. It was awesome. It was such a great
Not
time.
even
But anyway.
91%. It's still stuck on 90.
And so
People are tapping the dial, going, is this thing still working or
is it
what?
working or not? And that's what, and I mean, I'll take it. Honestly, like I said, I think this go around is very different than the last go around in the sense of like, last go around, it was kind of like, oh, it's a 20%, it's a 30%, it's a
Yeah, this is it.
40%.
And that's exactly what
And
we said before, right?
yeah,
Because they've gone so big, there has to be a deal made.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's the
Well,
sooner it's made, the
we say there
better.
has to be. We fingers crossed.
Right, exactly. I'm talking a little cocky for my, but anyway,
Yeah, right.
we will see. The other thing that is super interesting too, that we'll have to watch how Trump approaches this, how the administration approaches this, is that you are seeing Chinese exporters aggressively seeking loopholes to avoid tariffs. Trade flows are showing that large amount of products are making their way into like Vietnam and some other countries. So there's been reports that the exactly what the administration had said they were fighting against by introducing like the 46% tariff on Vietnam and some of these other things is happening. And so that's probably another thing that they want. We may expedite the resolution to this
Yeah.
is, like your tariffs are so high. They are promoting, questionable behavior.
Well, and this is it, right? So one thing as well, I think that's a really, really good point. Yes, that kind of it makes you think that they will try to get a deal as quickly as possible. But on the flip side, everything is possible with this administration.
Right.
Could get an announcement tomorrow. Not saying we will, but we could do where because they're seeing, hang on, everything's just flowing through Vietnam now.
Yeah,
Trump
the
goes, well, hang
Vietnam's
on,
getting it.
yeah, no, exactly. Okay, well, we'll just make Vietnam's tariffs the same as China's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything is possible at this point.
That's what I said. You cannot leave the desk for 5 minutes.
No,
You may lose the whole entire flow of everything. So that's super fun. But that'll be what we're watching. Just trade conversations. We'll see the UK, in the US, they'll have their press conference here in about a half hour or so. We'll look to see if the EU, apparently they've presented their white paper, but I have no idea. But with the one thing of interest, though, I did see is that there are several leaders that are now pushing against the EU or, the European Commission or whoever makes the decisions on that side of things where
no
they're
one
like,
knows. No one
right,
knows.
that's what I'm like, that's the Wizard of Oz. But they're basically saying like, don't do anything until we have our NATO meeting because we need to guarantee security first and
Yeah,
foremost
they want
before
that
we worry
leverage,
about
right?
trade. Say that again.
They want that leverage.
Yes, that leverage. They
Well,
want
yeah,
to press the lead anyway. And so that's what they want. They want to see the NATO thing. We want to have that. And so that just goes into play with everything else that we've been talking about with this tangled web of geopolitics and whatnot. And so that's the other thing. Xi's in Russia currently,
yeah,
which is super fun because India and Pakistan are still actively fighting against one another.
yeah.
Pakistan said they shot down 12 drones overnight. India said they did a few other things, like they're just targeting specific areas. But what is of most interest to me is that Russia is supplying Pakistan with, excuse me, backwards. China is supplying Pakistan with weapons, and Russia is supplying India with weapons,
Yeah,
and they're currently sitting with one another.
yeah. This is what I mean, right? We mentioned this. I think. Well, it feels like it could have been this week. It might have been last
Who
night. I don't know.
knows, right?
My brain is mush trying to keep up. But we said the other day. It was like, yeah. I'm just going to say the other day. We said the other
Fits.
day that it's now. If you try doing like the relationship kind of web between
Yeah.
what is going on at the moment, it's very, very messy.
And who's fighting whom, and
I don't
who's
even know anymore.
supplying whom,
Iran are fighting
and
India now. I don't know.
that's
That's
what
a
you're
joke.
right. Exactly. Yeah, it is a joke. Don't take that one.
It's
But yeah,
mad
like I
now.
can't
Yeah.
even anymore. I'm like this I state and this P state because you got China and the Philippines. And I think the other day I said China and Pakistan, which they are close, but they're not fighting. It's Philippines. Then you got Taiwan and the whole other issue. I mean, and then we have Russia and Ukraine. The Trump administration is starting to put more pressure on Russia, something to be watched. Vance did say yesterday, like that Russia is the pain in the neck now, which maybe they'll just send Vance to meet Putin and take care of the
Oh
situation.
God.
I
Oh
don't
no.
know. So you can send hate mail to someone other than us. We don't care. But we'll see what that all plays out and how that works because it's all an interesting dynamic. And then lastly, we're paying attention to grain flow. Obviously, to me, that's one of the more important things.
Yep.
China's returned from their holidays a decent buyer of soybeans. They've covered a lot out of Brazil, but we're also starting to see Argentina come into play. Argentina is not traditionally a large exporter of soybeans, but they've come in like the Kool-Aid man, like, oh yeah. You've seen
Even I get that reference.
that's what they've seen harvest pick up pace. The currency has been devalued in a big way, and their export sales tax remains reduced through the end of June. So basically, farmers have like 6 weeks to poo or get off the pot to a certain extent, and that's why you're seeing some pretty big
Yeah.
farmer selling. Now, quality is of question, and there are some other things they've been dealing with, some heavy rain, yada yada yada. Argentina's beans have to be underpriced versus the world's no matter what because of those quality issues.
Yeah.
But currently, you're seeing them really kind of ride even 20 to 30 cents cheaper than what you would typically see. So you are seeing China make some purchases of Argentina beans. You'll probably see them more flow into like the EU and things like that, where they would undercut some of the US demand. But based on what we're seeing with basis and some of these things here in the domestic market structure, I don't think we really need to be trying to export a significant amount of beans beans in July and August because she's feeling tight already. Corn supply is reasonably tight around the world. We've seen spreads just absolutely eat shit. That seems to be more of a function of speculators liquidating and commercials also pounding the hell out of it. I think, they're working to protect their risk on the commercial side. The speculators just like, oh, the Brazil crop's good. We have no trade deals. I'm getting the hell out of here. And so that's giving some signals to the market. The question is whether or not they're false. Is it more of a function of near record large farmer selling early in the marketing year that is continuing to pressure the pipeline, or is it a sign that we have more old crop supplies on hand? So these are things that we're going to continue to argue about. This morning's export sales lastly showed super strong demand, still remains for corn, but the market just opened and it doesn't care. Sales came in above expectations. Japan was our biggest buyer. Taiwan, Spain, Colombia were in as well. Soybeans were at the higher end of expectations. It was mostly Mexico. And then wheat sales were 69,000 metric ton, which is nice because they were right in the middle of expectations. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It's all about weather now, which is great because our meteorologists have no idea what to expect over the next couple of weeks. And they tell us that it could get really bad, but it might not. We may get rain. And so, yeah, it's much appreciated, I say, to my meteorologist friends.
Really bad, 50% chance of it doing really good. Yeah,
Did I ever tell you I wanted to be a meteorologist as a kid? Did I tell you that? You probably not. But anyway, the beauty part about is I got into a job where it's very similar. My ability to be right mirrors the meteorology world, I guess you could say, and I still get to keep my job. So yay. That's kind of a joke. I wish it was more of a joke than what it is.
Wink, wink.
But yeah. Anyway, market wise here as we open to wrap up today, we got beans up a bit, 7-8 cents here on the old crop news, up about 5. Corn is still trying. It's laying there like a slug. It's its only defense. Wheat also still stinks, but products are up. Crude's up, of course. The dollar's a little higher. Fed left rates unchanged. We knew that. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens and be excited, hopefully, for more trade deals. Maybe.
Absolutely. Angie, thank you so much for being the absolute star that you are. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope we've given you some value and maybe put a smile on your face. Whatever you're doing today, stay safe, keep it tight, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
We'll be here. Have a good one, guys.